Hey, how's it going? Gonna do some more video editing. In this case, I did work on this since the last stream, so it's not the entire process here, but there's a lot to it, and even now it's still gonna take a while. Did all this stuff, placed a bunch of photos on talking stuff, and some of the photos like scale, and then I have text over them. So for example, this one here, so it shows the EXIF full view, and then I do a crop view, which some of those I need to probably fix and like align. But
the 1.31, I believe, firmware on there, so which is the most recent. No updates since 2020. I really don't expect them to do much else.
there's still a lot of stuff to do. So in this case, I can scale it to make it more interesting as it's playing.
Recent. No updates since 2020.
So that kind of zooms in a little bit.
I expect them to do much else. So straight. No.
Things like this. You saw how shaky it was. I could apply shake reduction. Actually, before I keep going, I'm going to take a core away from this program so it doesn't lag the stream. Which takes not too long. So there's a, I mention this every time, there's a thing called Affinity in Windows where you can define which processors it uses. Anyways, right here, this Osmo Action clip, it's a little shaky. If I right click on here, actually not right click, but I click this Event FX and add stabilization. And we can run that, and it only runs it on that clip. There's a different type of stabilization that runs on the entire piece of footage, but that would take a really long time with these GoPro / Osmo Action things. So in this case, I think you can just put a different number in, and it doesn't need to be like redone as far as I know.
Don't expect them to do much else.
But I would just keep increasing this number until it looks relatively decent, I guess.
Don't expect them to do much else.
I don't know. Although if I do adjust it, I think that resets the stabilization. It's like shift it a little bit. I probably have to go in here and, yeah, so I need to redo it. Which actually, it's much better than it used to be in that case.
Don't expect them to do much else.
A little better. Save it. Anyways, we've got like 3-4 minutes of stuff that's it still needs work, but is there. And it's a thing. This also needs work. So basically, I've just been trying to put a bunch of photos, videos on top of the other stuff so that it's just not me talking to the camera the entire time.
This dynamic area.
But at this point, I've pretty much run out of good talking stuff.
Saying low light AF, and it's very much not.
Or at least some of the talking left is kind of very related to what's happening, and not just me talking about the. In this case, it's if you haven't seen other streams, it's the Altson adapter for the Z5. It's EF to Z mount, which is a combination, but it does function for the most part.
Area AF.
In this case, I recorded some footage later on, and then I re-recorded it, where I talk about. Before we get more into the video, there were definitely issues. I looked at the photos and just not great. I basically give my final opinion after looking at the photos, looking at the footage, everything else. So I've done the first piece where I transition that into the front of it, and then back here, I've got all this big piece here, which means I can throw a bunch of B-roll on it. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length had some issues being registered properly. I think it was fine for the 50, but not for this zoom lens. Shake reduction has some potential issues for sure, so I'd probably need to try this combination just with no shake reduction at all to see if that helps the situation. Aperture seems okay. It is registering and changing as it needs to, as far as I can tell. Let's redo that.
Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length had some issues being registered properly. I think it was fine for the 50, but not for this zoom lens. Shake reduction.
Kind of pause there. It was fine for the 50, but not for this. Let's take that out. Delete. Turn on auto ripple. Pull it over. For this zoom lens. I'm going to be putting stuff on it, so it really doesn't matter. Let me fix it here too. Pressing S on the keyboard, I don't have my Z5 set up. Zoom lens. Shake reduction has some potential issues for sure, so I'd probably need to include that. And just get rid of that. For sure, so I'd probably need to try this combination just with these pauses. This combination just with no shake reduction at all to see if that helps the situation. Aperture seems okay. It is registering and changing. Yeah, basically this adapter seems to have some shake reduction and or focal length reporting issues that confuse the camera situation. Aperture seems okay. It is registering and changing as it needs to. As far all I can do here to try to speed things up is get rid of the pauses. I could potentially like make it faster, but I've never gotten that hard on it. It is registering and changing as it needs to, as far as I can tell. Besides that, you can get rid of the Besides that, don't use the automatic modes. Aperture priority, it was given low shutter speed. Yeah, it was zoomed. Aperture priority, it was given low shutter speeds. Now you could use the camera and low shutter speeds. Now you could use the camera and give it like a minimum shutter
speed, which actually might work okay, but probably want to use manual.
In this case, you don't need the butt. You can take the butt out. Butts are not invited. Might work okay. Probably want to use manual focus, manual aperture, everything with this adapter. Price-wise, I very rarely read anything when I'm doing this stuff. I just say it. Say it multiple times. Multiple takes, usually. Everything with this adapter. Price-wise, I paid $60. Just try to think of things that I want to say, and eventually it comes out. $60, which I think is
the top end of what I'd even consider with this.
Now there are other adapters like, or I just redo it in the flow, which I know that I'll have to cut it in that case, which is not as ideal. There are other adapters like the Fringer one that
are said to be pretty decent, but I would not even consider spending $300 to get like a Band-Aid solution in this case.
There's a lot of pauses. Some of them are fine. I mean, at this point in the video, it's probably like 30% of the people watching, if I'm lucky, of the 50 people that watch it. So in that case, it's not as important, I don't think, to make things super to the point, quick, towards the end, because if the people are still watching, a little bit of imperfection with pausing and all that is probably not going to be a big deal.
solution in this
case, just probably not worth it. Although if it's good, it's good. I'm not going to be the one to find out paying that much for it. So yeah, it's fun to mess around with, especially if you can.
So yeah. In that case, I might leave that one.
The Z camera, it kind of sort of works. It's fun, but I wouldn't pay
Pay much for it. Anyways, I'm Scott from Bonsai. Hope you're
I think I just reset the...
not going to be the one
to find out paying that much for it. So yeah, it's fun to mess around with, especially if you can get it at a low price and you have a bunch of EF glass and a Z camera. It kind of sort of works. It's fun.
but I wouldn't pay.
Let's get rid of that.
Anyways, I'm Scott from Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.
We can use that.
But
So I'm probably going to B-roll the entire thing so that I don't have to care about all, all this. Or I could like go like this and then punch in one of them. So in this case, I would zoom this one in a little bit.
a bunch of EF glass and a Z camera. It kind of sort of works. It's fun. Anyways, I'm Scott from Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.
So in that case, I could keep like that much of it. And then all the rest of it B-roll.
Enjoyed the video, please consider...
If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, sharing,
Blah,
and
blah.
super.
Sounds better. I sped up.
If you enjoyed the video, please.
If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking.
So you can actually adjust the speed of things.
If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, sharing, and the super thanks feature. All that.
For some people, they might just not talk very fast. They could potentially edit it to make it flow better, make it like a speed that generally the most people like. But then you kind of question how far do you need to take it. In my case, I don't do that. I might have done it once or twice, but I don't know. Anyways, let me fix this real quick. And then we can start getting the rest of the B-roll, which basically is just me standing, taking a photo, showing a photo. That's what this entire video is going to be. A lot of that, which I know that's very exciting. All right. I'm saving this for noise reduction, which I'm going to attempt to do on that. I'm just going to apply that to the entire thing, because if there's some noise reduction necessary in this additional clip that I made, it's probably not going to be messing with the other stuff. So I think it would be fine to do it all. So in this case, I have a little bit of B-roll up here with these terrible photos. Some of them. But I can take that and then turn off auto ripple as usual. Pull these over. Come on. Actually, that's a lot already. In this case, I wanted to try to still use some of this back here.
You know what? I think this dynamic area...
You can see all these pauses here. We can easily ungroup the footage from the audio and then make the audio more concise by taking stuff out. I mean, obviously my mouth is not flapping there, so it's not a big deal. Whoops. Whoops. Just don't want that. There we go.
You know what? I think this dynamic area might work. Those birds are fast.
We can get rid of the remainder there. Serves the same purpose. It's more concise. Man, this thing's not listening to me. We don't need that. If you want to see like me press the keyboard and stuff, the last stream I was doing that. But although my keyboard, the keys are not very bright, at least I don't have them super bright, and the way that they're, I would like to get different keycaps. It's hard to see the actual letters on there, so it probably isn't super helpful in general.
You know what? I think this dynamic area might work. Those birds are fast.
Then we've got the example photos. Maybe. I thought I had one. Did I put it up here? No. Oh, yeah, that I've got one single photo. We can use it. Turn off auto ripple again. The best worst feature. And I don't even know where that was. There we go. We could probably do here is just get rid of some of that. And potentially use this.
Birds are fast.
There we go. We got one photo. What I'll do with this one is zoom in on the second one so you get a closer up view. See how bad everything was in this specific photo outing. That one was actually one of the decent photos.
I was saying low light AF, and it's very much not low light right now. Wow, it's somehow picked them up. Struggling a little bit. It's probably thinking, what the hell is this thing looking at me? You can tell that it's definitely using the battery pretty quick. What is it, 300? Benefit. It's not that bad. Try this bird again. Go back to...
Some of that I might just make actual footage. Stuff back here could probably be B-roll covering the last part. Yeah. So in this case, oh man. I do want to zoom in on that one. It's one of the few decent photos. Alrighty. With this program, just keep saving. Always keep saving. In this case, I want to avoid just like straight music. I've been doing that more often where I totally avoid straight music. Which could be good or bad depending on what people's personal preferences are, but at some point I probably need to look at the actual data and see which works better, but I suspect having someone talk is more engaging than just music. So in that case, whoops, auto ripple, turn that off, get rid of those. This is just going to go here.
Wow, it's somehow picked them up. Sure.
I think that's correct. In this case, I'm not going to cut out the pause right here because I just don't have the footage and it's specific to the situation. So I'm ungrouping these pieces with U on the keyboard, splitting with S. Whoops. Auto ripple. The best worst feature. As I make weird mouth sounds. Okay.
Much not low light right now. Wow, it somehow picked them up. Struggling
That
a
was
little
a
bit.
very abrupt transition. What is
You
this?
can tell that it's definitely using the battery pretty quick. Is it 300? Benefit.
Some of these need to just be regular B-roll because I don't have the talking available. In that case, we'll take these. I'm going to ungroup, delete, make sure auto ripple is off. I'm going to regroup these and then take this to the last part of the video. There we go. I can mess with that later. Yeah.
300. That is definitely using the battery pretty quick.
We don't need that. All I really want is that talking portion. Because I want to take these. Well, let me see here. I actually only need one of those. Which I'm not sure which one was better. Let's get rid of the first one. Get rid of these. Well, yeah. Get rid of that. And this can go here.
Oh. Pick them up. Struggling a little.
What I can do here is to make it more engaging is split it in half. And then have this one punch in. Because we're at 2.7K, I'm going to render at 1080p. It'll be a little grainy, but that's how it goes. Or I could even switch. So I have multiple options here.
Pick them up. Struggling a little bit.
I'll probably do that one. In that case, I could even punch in here like that, which I'll have to come back to. What we got here?
300.
I thought I sent that to my final sequence here. Yeah. Anyways. We can get rid of that. Wait, what do I say here?
300.
Nope. Don't need that.
Benefit. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
So in this case,
Benefit. Benefit.
don't know what that means. Get rid of that. turn off auto ripple, delete that. Kinda need that.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
In this case, I'm gonna just have this audio being a thing. Which at this point, who knows?
Let's see if we can try this bird again. Go back to...
I don't even see a bird in that photo, so
and dynamic area AF.
we're gonna delete that. Is there a bird in this? No. I might need this unexciting photo for the end. And this one. I mean, I could always just pull some B-roll from the action camera footage of me walking around or something. Or I could even, if I really want to put effort into it, I can go and record some footage of the camera lens combination, which I probably should do. Then just put it in somewhere here or there. Here or there.
Dynamic area AF. Droplets are no cool. Not good.
Guess we could potentially use that.
GoPro is probably covered. Now that I think about it. Whatever. No, that works. That works.
I'm not going to use this, at least here.
GoPro.
Nope.
Works. That works.
That's no good. What is this?
It is not working well. Trying to get that little bird on the street.
We could probably use that one. So in this case, I can make this more concise because if I'm going to use that footage, well, probably that too, yeah. You're not going to see my mouth, so it doesn't matter. Let's get split with a U on the keyboard. Not split, but ungroup, I should say. And then we split. But let me... There we go. So I actually regrouped the audio by itself. That way we can more easily trim it. Like that. Actually, we can move... no. Like that.
Dynamic area AF.
I don't know why I want this, but it's going in. There's that.
That bad. It's not that bad. Dynamic area AF. Here it is not working well. Trying to get that little bird on the street.
Get rid of that. What is this? I'm gonna stick this in the back.
Interesting. Interesting. The wind. The wind.
Might as well put the talking to myself stuff here.
Interesting. Interesting.
I don't know if I have enough audio. Whoops.
The wind. America.
Oh, here's that.
Birds are always out here doing their thing. What I could do here is when they fly into the wind, they're going a lot slower. Alright, this lens, autofocus is worse, but it does work technically. A lot of quirks to it, but it does work. That's all I gotta say. Picked a bad spot. Wow. Yeah. I think I'm done. I think it's good enough.
Let's get rid of that. Whoops.
Bad spot. Wow.
Let's just throw that in somewhere. At this point, I don't really care. It's going in. That should be good.
Worse, but it does work. All I gotta say. It'd help if I turn the camera on.
We could take that, stick it somewhere too. Thought I had an empty spot somewhere. Come on. It's probably too big for that. Oh well. Sure, this is way too long. Something like that.
Area AF. Here it is not working well. Trying to get that little bird on the street.
Actually, probably have to do something like this because it's this later half is referring to the situation. So I could do something like that, maybe. That's very unexciting. Could also do my other trick. So that punches in a little bit. Not as much as 4K.
It is not working well. Trying to get that little bird on the street. Interesting. Interesting.
What is this? Just going with it. I want to get this done. So exciting.
Wind. the wind.
Whoops. I'll do one flag. Whoops, wrong button. Let's go with the second one.
America.
Also, what I'll do once I proof it, I will add a shutter sounds for each photo, so that's probably
America.
a lot.
America. America.
Let's get rid of that one.
These birds are always out here.
Do that.
These birds are always out here doing their thing. What I could do here is when they fly into the wind, they're going a lot slower. All right, this lens, autofocus is
Maybe. In this case, I'll do a zoom in on that one. And then, because I didn't like how jittery that opening was. And then I can just transition to it. Whoops, don't want to do that. The YouTube stream has been complaining about lower bit rates than it should have, but I'm doing a concurrent stream to YouTube and Twitch.
tagging.
And I look at the replays and they look fine to me, so I don't really know what the deal is.
It does work technically. A lot of quirks to it, but it does work. That's all I gotta say.
Could maybe use some of this. And then take out the portion where I basically repeated myself.
Work technically. A lot of quirks to it. That's all I gotta say. I think I'm trying to help if I turn the camera on.
There is more. Huh. I can definitely tell how the computer is responding that it's slower with the stream running. Maybe, no, that's not good. It's not really related to these photos. I think that might be. Or not. Well, maybe. What is this? Nope.
It's not as flipping nuts, so maybe somewhere that's not as
Oh, the wind.
big chunk. It is working.
Yeah, the wind that day was definitely intense. Actually, try to use some of this. Should probably have enough coverage there, so we're good on that. Though I could use one of these too. They're all blurry.
What type of bird is that? Come over here. What is life?
Let's see. Just throw this one down here. Come on. Get rid of this. One nice thing about streaming this while I'm doing it is that it prevents me from doing other things.
Help if I turn the camera.
Which has turned out to be a very nice benefit. Maybe I should put this in like a in thing. Whoops. What is this? No, that's not anything that I want. Whoops. Okay, what do we got here? So now I'm actually gonna save a new version. It's always nice to have backup type things where if I screw something up, I can at least go back to a little bit. Just a little bit, actually quite a bit.
I think I'm done.
Like I mentioned earlier, let's get rid of that. At this point, get the water off my nose. At this point, should probably do this. I should add like overlays, and I should make them like zoom and scroll and whatever. So in that case, I usually go to one of the ones that I did and then copy paste this, like the setup to it. So you can see one does a zoom out, one does a zoom in at 100%. So I'd copy and go to this one, paste, then go back. I think it was, doesn't really matter, most of them are the same. Copy that, go to the second one, paste that, and it's pasting the event attributes, not doing anything else. So we've got one that zooms out, one that zooms in at 100%. If we look at the crop thing, you can see that it's really cropped in there. These sample photos that I do are full size, which in the past Magic Vegas Pro doesn't like it, but they've seemed to have made it work better, which is good. So now this one zooms. We want to get to some of the text here. So I've got one for full view, one for close-up view. I copy those two. I'm going to paste them over here. You want to do a new copy. You don't want to do a reference. If you do a reference, you're going to be changing the text in the other ones. So they're basically linked. That's not useful in this situation. And you can see I did not have auto ripple off, which I'm just going to move them over in this case. I'll turn it back on. That should be good. Save it. So in this case, I didn't put the EF in all the photos, which in retrospective probably should have, because I am including some of the bad photos. just to show you that it wasn't working. But in this case, there is EXIF. I just right-click properties and then I copy this, which obviously 44 millimeters on a 100 to 300 millimeter lens is incorrect. And that's a not good thing. So paste it in there. Now that I've copied it once, this is the same photo. I'm just zooming. I'll just paste it in the second one. And we're good. I'm going to take these, put them down. Basically good to go on that. Some of the ones I'll go back and adjust the position of the zoom in. But in this case, it should be fine. And then I'll do it for the next one. I have to copy, paste, or I could just go like this and then paste that one on all the consecutive ones that will likely be the same. So basically be the first one of each set. I could even go like this, holding Control down on the keyboard, picking the images. The thing is, if I mess up, then I'll have to reselect them all, which can be irritating. The thing is, I might, whatever. I might be changing these. We'll do it anyways. Okay. Let's just go back to this one. Oh, not that one. This one. Wait a second. Just got lost. Where was the one that was at a... Red. Oh, it's right here. All right. So I copied the properties of that. Paste it in this one. For that nice zoom in. We'll do that one. I think those are the only... No, we got that. Got this. Oh, we got a gap there too. That's not cool. There's that one. Those are actually different. That is a zoom in. Are these the same photo? No. Let's delete one. Whoops. Control Z. Okay. Turn off auto ripple, of course. Delete that. I'm going to copy and paste this. I'm going to get those properties again. Whoops. Screw that up. This one. Copy. Paste. And paste. So you can see this one is a little offset where the focal point was most likely. I'll potentially fix that if I re-notice it later on. Copy, paste. It's just so much busy work and type of stuff that if you had like AI or something, you could do easily. Because it takes some like thought, but it's still monotonous. Oh, there's a gap. Man. Whoops. Control Z. Ungroup these. Like drag that. Should be good. We can actually split that. Come on. There we go.
Pretty quick. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It should be good. Well then, what is this? Right now, let's copy these text things. Then I'm going to go into properties to copy this. Might be the same. No, it's different ISO. There we go. These two are potentially all right. No, actually, now that I think about it, when they're all in line like this, it's harder for me to notice where things are. So it's nice to have them on different layers, but when I go back and I try to add my shutter sound, I might miss some, which is not cool, but this thing has been taking a long time and I'm just to the point of, should be done. Not especially exciting. I did go out today with the Z5 and the 85 1.8S again. More nature photos. No surprise. I think it worked well. I haven't even pulled the photos in. I was using the GoPro 9 with the Max Lens mod on a little tripod for actual footage. I was thinking about doing like for my Renaissance Fair video that I haven't edited yet, I used a strap with the GoPro like on my chest. Well, not on my chest, but around my neck. And I think that it worked well. So I should probably try to use that more often. But I guess I'll find out when I actually edit that video. I'm always trying to find ways to make it easier to do and easier to film, yet still enjoyable to do, and just simplify things. And that's at least one way to do it, is how I place the action camera.
A lot of light. I did notice when I switched standard focus area. So far, this one is also not as bad as I was expecting. Autofocus is.
I can zoom in there, maybe. Also, I also have the other view, but that's not very useful. So in this case, we just go from 2.7K to 1080p. And it just provides a little bit more interest.
One is also not as bad as I was expecting. Autofocus is a very mixed bag.
Which, I mean, depends on what you consider exciting, I guess. Let's get a text field. Paste it in there. Whoops, get my properties. And I need some lip gloss or something.
Mixed bag. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Take that. Like I said, I'm going to regret pulling those down, but I'll deal with it later.
Area might work. Those birds are fast. So it's saying low light AF, and it's very much not low light right now. Well, it's somehow.
That should be good. Now we need 2 of the text fields. Sometimes the EXIF is the same between consecutive photos, but I don't have enough. Whoops. Why did I do that? I don't have enough mental effort to know or verify it each time, so it's easier just to repaste it. Unless I notice the first one is the same, and then I won't do the second one. Here we go.
Light AF, and it's very much not low light right now. Wow, it's somehow picked them out. Struggling a little bit. It's probably thinking, pick them out. Struggling a little bit. It's probably thinking, what the hell is this thing looking at me? You can tell that it's definitely...
All right. Yeah, definitely. One of the negatives here is I can feel the lag as I'm editing. And I can hear the fans in the computer go a little faster. It's probably the graphics card, because video editors do use the GPUs now, and the stream itself would be using the INVEC encoder, I believe.
A little bit. It's probably thinking, what the hell is this thing looking at me? You can tell that it's definitely...
So for that one, I'm gonna, if I re-notice it when I do my first pass, I'm gonna shift where it's zooming. It just takes a little bit of effort. I'll do it right now. So in this case, this point here is 1080p resolution. So I'm going to delete this first one, go back to this one, and then shift it. And then I'm going to drag that cursor over, make a new frame, and then drag this out so that it pulls in.
Thing looking at me. You can tell that it's definitely using the battery pretty...
But you can see that it took a little bit.
Battery pretty quick.
What is this? Okay. I can take that, paste it, go into properties. Okay, so that was the same settings.
Here, on the street.
Do the same thing. Actually, yeah, I need to recopy it. So on this one, I didn't have the settings in there. I'm just gonna very blurry photo. Good enough. What is this? In this case, I need to ungroup the video from the audio, get rid of this piece, or those pieces, I should say, so they don't show up in the background of the picture. I can take this one, paste it. Then we pull the EXIF. I did that in my photo editor. In that case, ACDC Photo Studio Ultimate 2022 has a really nice renaming feature. Whoa. Yeah, that's not good. So way up there. Do I need this? I'm just going to delete that. No. I need to regroup those and then drag it over just in case. Split that, maybe go like this.
Interesting.
This is going to be quite the video this time. Maybe I can. I'll do that. Screw it. What is this? Oh, that's kind of weird. I need to get rid of some of this audio. Delete. Don't need that. There we go. I'll just drag that over. Whoops. Auto ripple. There we go. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before, but I'm pretty sure they've replaced that flag since then. It definitely goes through a lot of wind, so I'm not shocked that it's in that condition. And below it is the flag of Illinois. If you're curious, I think it is.
Doing their thing. Well, like
In this case, we can safely get rid of that just to make it more concise. But you can see, at least get a feel of how long in general this type of stuff takes. And at least considering what I do, I'm sure there's many, many other ways to do it.
what I could do here is when they fly into the winds, they're going a lot slower. All right, this lens, autofocus is worse, but it does work.
In this case, probably don't want to get rid of those pauses. So slow. Save. Yeah, that's really off. Okay. For some reason, it's refreshing the thumbnails so much too. I don't know why. Let's take those two. Probably should indicate the EXIF is wrong, but I do mention that I noticed it was wrong at one point, so hopefully people get the idea.
The winds, they're going a lot slower. All right, this lens.
That one's clearly not positioned properly, so we'll do this. I'm looking at it, I might as well do it now. No reason not to. That should be good. That should be good.
Alright, this lens, autofocus is worse, but it does work
Save it.
technically. A lot of quirks to it, that's all I gotta say.
Let's punch in there. Let's let's not punch in there. What else can I do?
That's all I gotta say. I think I'm trying.
I'm gonna just delete that because I don't like it. Emphasizes the Romanness of my nose.
A lot of quirks to it. I think I'm trying.
Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length had some issues being registered properly. I think it was fine for the 50, but not for this zoom lens. Well, there's a lot here. As I can tell, besides that, don't use the automatic modes. Aperture priority, it was given. Man, it's lagging so much. It's trying to generate thumbnails, I think, when it really lags. Besides that, don't use the automatic modes. Aperture priority, it was given low shutter speeds. Now you could use the camera and give it like a minimum shutter speed. What I can do here, and you have a bunch of EF glass and a Z camera, it kind of sort of works. It's fun. Anyways, I'm Scott Photography Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Man, I can really hear some of the background noise. I had this computer on. I had of course, the Ninja 5 makes a noise. So it could have been in the combination. Actually, it would be nice to talking so much I feel like I have to burp a lot. Not fun. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length had some. Let's take that. Let's move that down. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length had some issues. Let's punch in. One benefit of pauses is that you can punch in at those pauses. Take a little bit more out. Actually, in this case, I'm going to go like that. It's 4K, so we got a lot of my NASA going on. Like I mentioned, get rid of that.
I'm trying.
Like I mentioned earlier in the video, it would be nice to actually stuff that under this one. So what we could do is very slightly go like that. A group, split, delete, auto ripple.
I'm trying.
Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length had some issues being registered properly. I think it was fine for the 50, but not for this zoom lens. Shake reduction has some potential issues for sure, so I'd probably need to try this combination just with no shake reduction at all to see if that helps the situation. Aperture seems okay. It is registering and changing as it needs to. It's too bad I don't have EXIF on those. As far as I can tell. Besides that, I can always pull it in myself. Yeah. Or we can, what is this? Yeah, let's just delete it. Oh no. computer is struggling. There we go. Don't need that.
I think I'm done.
Like I mentioned earlier in the video, focal length. Save it. This zoom lens shake reduction has some potential issues. Let's get a text field. So that was 507. Pull up this. And go into zoning out. There we go. 507. So it's 1320. Maybe I'll pull this into my other screen so I can. For some reason, when I drag that program, it's very weird. It's like a weird lagginess to it. So we've got, what focal length? So it says 100 millimeters. I suspect it was at 300. And this, the adapter didn't figure it out. That's right. That's right. 2800. There we go. Full. There we go. So we can go like that. At all to see if that helps the situation. Aperture seems okay. It is registering in. Oh, it's even clipping now. What's the deal? So we got 511. I'll pull in the data for that one too. Regrets. Let's see what we got here. Okay, same settings. But this focal length says 34 millimeters. Obviously, it is incorrect. Projection at all to see if that helps the situation. Aperture seems okay. It is registering and changing as it needs to. This one we're good to go. Just gonna get 2 of the text fields that are ready. Come on. There we go. I'm surprised. Interesting. That must have been a 300. Surprised it turned out that well. Aperture priority, it was given low shutter speeds. Now you could use the camera. Well, I can really hear that
and
background
give
noise.
it like a minimum shutter speed, which actually might work okay.
I don't know why this is lagging so much.
Use the camera and give it like a minimum shutter speed, which actually might work okay.
There we go. Don't have much to say. See, it keeps going and going. It's one of those projects which a lot of these type of videos are this type of project. I like going out there, but the editing is something.
I paid $60.
That one was actually off. We can go in here and then fix the position of the zoom in. That photo turned out okay. Should be good. That should be good.
Aperture, everything with this adapter. Price wise, I paid $60, which I think
$60. $60 USD currency. I do wonder if, I mean, my audience on YouTube at least is, it probably depends. These specific videos might get more Americans. I don't know. I'd have to look, but bucks might be a term that they don't, and some people might not understand. There we go. Very unexciting.
end of what I'd even consider with this. There are other adapters like the Fringer one that are said to be.
In this case, let us split and I will zoom. There we go.
There are other adapters like the Fringer one that are said to be pretty decent.
That was not great. That's not useful. If I do that view, I should probably have the camera as up high as it can be, but the thing is, it's more awkward and more noticeable when it's up there. And, you know, social anxiety. Like, oh, why does he have his tripod pointing up so high? Oh, there's a camera on it. Oh, it's that dude that jumps around. Takes photos. There we go. Maybe I should do low, smooth talking instead of loud plosives. The never-ending edit. Please. I would not even consider spending $300 to get like a Band-Aid solution in this case. Just probably not worth it. Very true. The best thing to do, buy native lenses for whatever mount you have. It's cool. It's very cool to get stuff that isn't intended to work, but it works, at least in part. But never expect it to work as well as a native piece of glass. And I'm talking, there are exceptions with like Sony and Tamron, or I haven't used them, but Sony's given out their information for their mount. In that case, you can expect the third-party lenses to work well, work consistently, you'd hope. But the thing is with Canon and Nikon, they don't give out that data, so you might have one camera and one lens that works well, but then you'll have another camera with that Tamron lens or whatever from Canon. It might not work well. It's very true with all the EF Tamrons on the EFM cameras. I just had a comment from someone on one of my videos relating to the Tamron 18-200 EFS lens on the EFM cameras, which I had multiple videos showing that there was a problem. And he also had some issues with I think it was an 18-400 EFS from Tamron. And it feels like it could be a mechanical thing, but I honestly think it's a firmware thing. Like a Band-Aid solution in this case. And Tamron's not going to do anything. They're not going to try to update it for EFM. They don't give a crap. To get like, it'd be nice if I were wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. And the one EFM Tamron lens that exists, you have to send it to them to update the firmware. It's stupid. And they obviously have the technology and the knowledge to make it work, because that lens, as far as I understand it, it works fine. Of course, with current firmware, that you have to send it in and have them do something. Probably take the board out, put a new board in, who knows. It's just weird, very strange how they're doing things in that case. Get like a Band-Aid solution. So when you look at cameras, you look at companies like Viltrox, which I've definitely had my own criticisms for them, but they sent me those lenses, I've used them. They update the firmware, it's easy, it works. You put a USB thing in, boom, drag a file over. It works. You would think Tamron, with their technical knowledge, could make that work. It's just something very similar. Get like a Band-Aid solution in this case. So I'm sure they make nice stuff, whatever, but if you want Tamron, I'd say go E-mount. Otherwise, you're going to have some potential issues down the line. And I'm not talking like a few years. I'm talking like you're going to keep a lens for quite a while, multiple cameras. Usually lenses last a lot longer than a camera body from a functional standpoint. But the thing is, with the third parties, when they don't have that information, they're only going to support it for a certain amount of time. And then the main manufacturer makes a camera that has some quirk related to how it works and communicates. Most likely, you're not going to get an update. Solution and again, with Tamron and the EFM lens, you have to physically send it to them. Now, someone with technical knowledge could probably figure out how they do it and maybe somehow get the firmware from them and do it themselves, but the amount of effort and everything it would take to make that happen is too much.
in this case. Just probably not worth it.
I see that. Yeah, that's good. So at the very least, Tamron should get their act together and put... They might do this on other mounts, I honestly don't know. Put some type of USB port on the lens. Or at least have a dock. Which, actually, they might have a dock for other mounts. But not EFM. My guess is they're just trying to milk that specific lens for as long as they can for some reason, which doesn't make sense. They should update it. At the very least. And like I said, even if they do add firmware capability, how long are they going to support it? It's just okay.
One to find out, paying them.
Man, I can really hear that background noise. I'm not totally sure why it showed up that loud. I had everything placed relatively well, as far as I do things usually.
I'm not going to be the one to find out paying that much for it. So yeah, it's fun to mess around with, especially if you can get it at a low price and you have a bunch of EF glass and a Z camera. It kind of sort of works. It's fun. Anyways, I'm Scott Trophy Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.
In this case, we can get rid of that. So what? Some B-roll would be nice. But I would have to stop this. Which, got the camera back here. The adapter is in a drawer. Let's hold off on that, I guess. Let's see. That's good enough for now. Delete. Or I can delete that. Do a zoom in on this one. Come on. Copy paste. And then change. I put a hyphen in there. Resize it. There we go.
Yeah, it's fun to mess around with, especially if you can get it at a low price and you have a bunch of EF glass.
What I go to do is ungroup that and then re-resize this back to what it was, so that there's a little bit of transition. Then I have to fix this. Delete. Change this to 1920. That should be good. And this little thing here, it always lags. It could be because I'm using big photos. Not totally sure. Just go like that. Save it. Yeah, it's fun to mess around with, especially if you can get it at a low price and you have a bunch of EF glass and a Z camera. It kind of sort of works. It's fun. Anyways, I'm Scott Trophy Bonds. It's fun. I said fun twice. Get rid of that. There's only so much fun. We don't need that much fun. EF glass and a Z camera. It kind of sort of works. Anyways, I'm Scott Trophy Bonds. Camera. It kind of sort of works. Anyways, I'm Scott Trophy Bonsai. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks. Okay. I'll leave that for now. So I probably need to do another pass before I try to do noise reduction. So another pass of 6+ minutes of stuff. What I'm going to look for here is I'm going to look for flow or any situation where it just feels too long that something's being shown. That generally is going to apply to any type of situation where I'm standing there holding the camera, taking a photo type of situation. Because all my photos where I show the photo, that's a set amount of time. All those are the same. So I'm basically looking at the other stuff. In this case, let's delete that.
This is Altson EF in Z adapter. This adapter allows for auto.
What we can do here is, okay, the stabilizer just reset itself. So I deleted a piece of it. Let's go 6. Should be good. Try it again.
This is Altson EF in Z adapter.
Still very shaky. I suspect that with my Azuma action, I didn't have shake reduction on. So that was an oopsie. See what that looks like.
This is Altson
Let's keep going. Try 8. Save it.
This is Altson EF in Z adapter. This adapter allows for autofocus. It allows for aperture control.
Let me zoom in. I should probably put B-roll here of the adapter. Well, I'm holding it. That might be good.
This adapter allows for autofocus. It allows for aperture control, which I think is the biggest one.
Quick note before we get more into the video, there were definitely issues. I looked at the photos and just not great. I think potentially it was shake reduction related. I was using aperture priority. The camera was selecting like 1/25th of a second, so you really need good shake reduction to make that work, even with the 50, but not so much. Other issues like focal length on this specific 100 to 300 millimeter, it wasn't registering the correct focal length, and that's an issue, especially for shake reduction. Not totally sure. Anyways, a lot of the photos are blurry and not great, but we're gonna continue onward. Let's keep going.
Out of the lenses I have, this one is probably the...
Yeah. Let's put it up to 8. See if that makes a difference. Let's keep going.
Out of the lenses I have, this one is probably the best functioning. No surprise really, because it's the most electronic of the group. I just have a few of the older film era.
Do I have? Yeah. Save that.
Group. I just have a few of the older film era full frame lenses. I don't really want to spend $300 on an adapter that I won't get the most use out of. Although I have to say that EF lenses, I think, are the most future-proof of the old DSLR, SLR area lenses. What I've noticed with the Z5 and probably all of the Nikon Z mount cameras is that when you adjust the aperture in autofocus mode, larger apertures will be nice, but it goes down to f5.6, the actual aperture changes and gets smaller, even when it's just...
I should probably do B-roll for that. We'll see.
Just in live view mode. Once it hits 5.6, it stops getting small. My speculation, at least, is that it's doing that to simulate the look of it, but the problem is that it hurts autofocus. So you have a f1.8 lens, you should be using f1.8 to focus. For what I paid, I think it's a decent option just because you get aperture control.
That was very abrupt. So what we can do here is something like that.
Decent option just because you get aperture control. Autofocus, I feel like, is a bonus.
Very shaky. Let's get rid of that. Take this over. Nope. That's no good. Very shaky. Can, at the very least, get rid of some of that. What is this? Let's fade that. So it's not as harsh when it pops up, goes away.
Just because you get aperture control. Autofocus, I feel like, is a bonus at this.
We can try applying shake reduction. Let's go 9. See if that helps.
Because you get aperture control. Autofocus, I feel like, is a bonus at this price point. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other.
Okay, this photo I missed. Use a lapel. It depends. In this specific one, I was using a lapel microphone with a recorder. So I've got it right here. Recorder goes in my pocket. Should have got it here. I went out today with the Z5 and the 85mm f1.8s. So go there. This is the recorder. It's a Olympus LSP4. It has, I'm not saying this is like the best option or anything, but it records in PCM, linear PCM, and like a efficient but high quality codec, which I can't remember the name of it offhand. Let me see, because I'm using one right here. FLAC format FLAC, so 48 kilohertz, 24-bit. Pretty nice. And then I connect the lapel to that. I put this in my pocket. It's in here somewhere. Here we go. So this is a Sony lapel with, it's like a stereo one that I attached 2 of these little windscreens and I sewed them together. I have 2 of these. And that attaches to the thing like this that goes in my pocket, and then this is generally around here somewhere. There are issues with it sometimes with rustling and like strap noises and any type of shirt noise that I generally have to be careful, and any type of like jacket. Yeah, it's okay. I'm always trying to look for ways to improve on it in some way or another, because I have to sync this manually, which I think I deleted that stream because I didn't have the audio playing when I was syncing it. But in a future stream, I'll show you how intense this syncing is. But it generally works all right, and I've done it quite a bit. And in this specific case, I had 2 action cameras with that lapel combination. But I can actually play what the action cameras sound like in comparison to the lapel, and I'm gonna improve it a little bit as I go and like finish the edit. But so here's the lapel.
I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses.
And then we can do the GoPro, which was up here. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures seem to work fine. Very muffled. I could actually do normalize on it. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures seem to work fine. It just sounds louder there because I normalized it, which I'm not going to normalize this because I'm going to do it later on, but we can do the Osmo action, which was generally either facing me or on the camera. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures. So I was holding that one like pretty close, which it sounds all right. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures seem to work fine with this adapter. It's a little fuller in this case, which actually I'll do a normalize to this piece and then undo it. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures seem to work fine with this adapter, which I think is... So it does cut out a lot of that extra sound, which sometimes is good, sometimes bad, depending on what like you're trying to accomplish. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures seem to work fine. That was the Osmo action camera. Yeah. Make sure I got that. Okay, I think I'm good. There we go. I don't remember the focal length. Yep, okay. Nope. Oh, I was showing myself. Anyways. Let's go back. There we go. Yeah, so I was showing you the different clips of the different action cameras. Yeah. Actually, one thing I do with the lapel is that I'm using one channel because this specific microphone is a stereo, and usually one of them is better than the other one. So I only use one channel, but this is what it'll sound like with both of them. Let me normalize it. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out, and all the apertures seem to work fine. Just sounds a little weird as stereo. And sometimes one microphone picks up more than the other microphone, and then you get a weird shift. Let me just undo that. There we go. I don't remember the focal lengths and all. Yep. Anyways. Okay, we're good with that. So at this point, I'm just going through the footage and I'm checking it, because I'm going to do, once I make a pass and I think that it's decent, I'm going to extract the lapel microphone audio and do some stuff to it. There we go.
Point. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF.
Oh, I need to do this too. There we go. So there's just a little bit of motion.
Price point. I don't remember the focal lengths and all that for my other EF lenses, but I did test them out and all the apertures seem to work fine with this adapter.
This clip needs a little bit of stabilization. It's nice in this version of Vegas, they added that. Use 2 mics and a single channel each through a splitter. Oh, you mean you push it into the camera with the splitter? Yeah, I have one in. There are a few different types of splitters. You can either push 2 into 1, or you can actually push 1 into each channel, which I have some that do that. So if you were like interviewing someone, you could push 1 channel to the person and then another channel to like a microphone they're holding up, which would be pretty convenient. They're called the DJ, like through a mixer. All right. Yeah, I'm not sure which one you're doing, but the chat has like a lag to it as I'm talking.
Fine with this adapter.
It's pretty shaky footage.
To work fine with this adapter, which
That should be good.
fine with this adapter, which I think is the main thing. I have the 1.3.
Maybe I'll zoom in. Oh, it's already zoomed in. Huh. Well, try that.
To work fine with this adapter, which I think is the main thing. I have the 1.31, I believe, firmware on there, so which is the most recent. No updates since 2020. I really don't expect them to do.
There, I could actually zoom in a little bit. No, I was.
No updates since 2020. I really don't expect them to do much else. So straight normal autofocus works. It does pull up the low light functionality more often. Go into iMenu, switch it to pinpoint autofocus. That also works. All of the adapt.
Zoom in here a little bit. Actually, I could clip this piece out. Because you can't see my mouth talking, so I don't need to care too much. Get rid of that. Then we can stretch this out. There we go.
You switch it to pinpoint autofocus. That also works. All of the go into iMenu, switch it to pinpoint autofocus. That also works. All of the adapters have.
It's really dark. Can add a quick levels adjustment. It's not on the screen for a very short amount of time.
Works. All of the adapters have a big list of lenses that. A big list.
It's like a pop here with the audio.
A big. Have a big.
So I could probably deal with that later, but let me see. Maybe it's in there.
Adapters have a big list
Nope, it's
of big list
like in here somewhere.
big list. Adapters have a big list of lenses.
Sounds kind of weird, but
Adapters have a big list. A big
can't tell where it is.
list of list of list 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 big list big list big
Oh, it's right up here somewhere.
a big list of adapters have a big list of lenses that they
So I actually clip. Yeah. Let's just get rid of that. Oops. There we go. So that should hopefully work.
also works. All of the adapters have a big list of lenses that
It's a little abrupt, but I think it'll work.
have a big list of lenses that they support or have been tested, and if you care about full functionality, definitely go with that list. That they support or have been tested, and if you care about full functionality, definitely go with that list. I'm not planning on buying any expensive EF lenses, just need
Right there I could shift the zoom in a little bit. So I paste them in, and they're not, I just paste them in like center. So in this case we got the keyframes we have to delete. Just move that one over. I have to re-add the other keyframe, and then drag this out. You might not have heard it, but there was like a thump when I touched the lapel or something, which is why I was going over it.
full functionality, definitely go with that list. I'm not planning on buying any expensive EF lenses, just need it good enough to get aperture control, and for me, the autofocus is a bonus. The Altson does not have any type of tripod mount, tripod connector on there. Not surprised, considering what I paid at least. I don't know if it was...
I must have had the shake reduction off on the Osmo Action. It should not look that shaky. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Let's go. Try that.
Not surprised, considering what I paid at least. I don't know if it was ever more expensive.
Man. Go all the way.
Not surprised, considering what I paid at least. I don't know if it was ever more expensive than this, but not having that is fine in my case. I want to put some big lenses on there, won't be nice. Probably mentioned this in another video, but
Nice thing here is, well, action camera footage is not the most amazing type of footage ever, but in this case I shot at 2.7K and I'm going to render at 1080p, so I've got some resolution to lose if I need to.
nice. Probably mentioned this in another video before, but I do think EF lenses are the most adaptable.
Just gonna zoom in on this a little bit. This other camera view is not super exciting, so I don't use it too much in the video.
Before, but I do think EF lenses are the most adaptable.
There we go.
Before, but I do think EF lenses are the most adaptable, the ones that'll exist the longest in general, because there are so many.
This might be off a little bit here. Yeah, I think the focus was down slightly. Yeah, the Osmo Action from DJI has 4K. I think, yeah, it maxes out at 4K, 60 frames a second. The reason I was using 2.7, although sometimes there's a few reasons depending, but in this specific case, I had the GoPro with the max lens mod, which got it here. So in this case, go there. The max lens mod on the GoPro 9, this big little addition, it only does 2.7K because it creates like a circular view on the sensor, and then they stretch it out so you get a wider view, but you lose like some pixels, so they can't actually do 4K with this. Actually, I'm not sure about what the new GoPro 10 does, but at least with the 9, you have to do 2.7K. And I just wanted them to match up, and in general, 2.7K is not as much storage, which is nice. But I do use 4K as well when for whatever reason I do. Okay. But I mean, 4K on an action camera, the sensors in these are like approximately 1/2.3 inch, which are the same as like your average cheap fixed lens digital camera they can go buy in a store for $100 to $300. Which, I mean, this thing is initially it was $350 with the GoPro subscription or something.
In general, because there are so many mounts, new ones, the mirrorless ones, that do adapt these.
Actually, the one nice thing about this max lens is that you can have the camera any direction and you'll always have it leveled, unless you want to turn that feature off, but it's pretty nice.
Mounts, new ones, the mirrorless ones that do.
Could zoom in on that a little bit.
Mirrorless ones that do adapt these lenses.
So this actual little piece of footage is from the GoPro, and it's like perfectly aligned. There we go.
New ones, the mirrorless ones that do adapt these lenses, at least.
So that was the Osmo Action. That was the GoPro.
At least to some degree. E-mount definitely has adapters like this available. You could probably find.
I have to shift this one down a little bit. Yeah, for this specific video that I'm editing, I was using a adapter that converts EF to Z mount.
Like this available. You could probably find ones on Micro Four Thirds, I'm sure, and
It definitely had some issues.
Micro Four.
Let me get rid of that.
Ones on Micro Four Thirds, I'm
A little bit more. Just removing my mistake of words.
find ones on Micro Four Thirds, I'm sure, and in general, if you get an EF lens, you'll probably be able to.
That's off a little bit. Yeah, these specific videos are very time intensive from an editing standpoint, and I don't tend to get a ton of views on them. So the main thing is I do like actually making them. I mean, not so much the editing, but the going out and taking photos.
If you get an EF lens, you'll probably be able to use it for a good long time, even more so than the mirrorless ones. I think the negative.
It's really dark. Let's see.
Even more so than the mirrorless ones. I think the negative.
Also, I need to add shake reduction on that. There we go.
Even more so than the mirrorless ones. I think the negative is that you do need some type of.
Not even sure that helped very much. Oops. Let's try that instead. Then I have to redo the shake reduction. Yeah. It's always a little bit constantly. There's so many
Even more
things
so than the mirrorless ones. I think the negative is that you do need some type of electronic control, which if you care about that, definitely.
have to think of another phrase to
even more
accomplish the same thing.
so than the mirrorless ones. I think the negative is that you do need some type of electronic.
Here I can zoom in. There we go. It just gives it slightly more
I think the negative is that you do need some type of
motion to it.
electronic control, which if you care about that, definitely go film era where aperture rings were more available. But with EF, you do get a good level of control as long as you get that.
Zoom in there.
You do get a good level of control as long as you
Add some stabilization.
do get a good level of control as long as you get that electronic adapter. When you adjust your aperture from f1.8 down to 5.6 or lower, you're going to struggle with autofocus, especially down there, just based on how this camera works with it. Looking at the Altson website, it has no.
Wow. Yeah, I clearly did not have shake reduction on.
you're going to struggle with autofocus, especially down there.
Here we go. All right. It's going to take a long time. I'm going to call it here. Appreciate you hanging out. Just make a marker there so I know where I am. Yeah. I'm so used to how action cameras make it super smooth.
Altson website, it has no information about the Z5, so I wasn't even
Yeah.
sure.
Anyways, see you around. I'm going to head out for now.